Mo,
Josh.
today we're going to welcome Mo Alyasini from Taima Growth. It's been good to catch up with you here at Holy Flower
Yes.
in Madrid. Maybe if we just start, you can do a little introduction
Yeah.
and your journey.
Yeah, sure. So I originally come from San Diego, California. I've lived all over the States, but most of my life I spent in California. And I came here about almost 10 years ago. And now in October, just exactly 10 years ago to the date almost thing. And I didn't go back. I mean, I fell in love with the city. I came here with an idea of being here only 10 months. And if you ask me, it's the best place in the world.
You came with cannabis in your head, or
No, I was a chef at the time when I came here. I was teaching university English, and then I decided that I wanted to do a career in gastronomy because there's no better country, I think, that has a gastronomy studies. And I started working in restaurants.
Nice.
And I was in the chef industry for a while, almost 2.5 years, which took me to Shanghai and brought me back. And just when I got back from Shanghai after COVID, right before COVID, I decided that I wanted to start this kind of company. Without the expectation of COVID, obviously, but it was the idea.
Have you been working on Taima since that time originally?
Since the incorporation of Taima is from November 2019. So.
And you knew already that you wanted to go. Obviously, there's a lot of different options. We're sitting at one of the nicest clubs here in Madrid.
Wasn't around then.
No, it wasn't. But you knew from the beginning you wanted to go sort of more pharmaceutical, call it medical direction?
Yes. I mean, I grew up in California. I saw the change from medical market to recreational. I was there at the very early stages. I looked at the cannabis market in Europe in total. At this time, there was only one company producing. They are still one of the biggest licensed companies in Spain, one of the major exporters of product here. And I realized that its main business was the production of morphine in Spain. This is one of the largest morphine producers in Europe.
Oh, that's interesting.
And you notice that a massive business decision by a multi-million-dollar corporation decides to start producing medical cannabis, and you say, okay, somebody knows what's going on. Uh-huh. And I knew that there was a huge market, and I love the plant itself, and I really believe in its capacities for its healing purposes. And so at that time, it was clear to me that if I'm going to start something, this is where it should be.
Was there just an open? Because I think we talked about it before. There's very few licenses today doing medical cannabis.
Yes.
I mean, was there an opening for that when you?
Right. As of today, there are 4 truly licensed companies for production and export, and we have another 4 genetics providers and around 8 licensed investigative research facilities with the use of medical cannabis. At that time, there was only 1 company that was licensed, and I think 3 companies that had an investigative license, maybe a few more. Investigative licenses have come and gone, but it's most people recommend that you start with an investigative license and move your way into the industry of production and export, because it's a process, truly, the relationship that you have to have. The true problem here at that time was transparency. You knew you could do it, but you didn't know how. There wasn't a website you can go on that said, these are the points that you need to be able to get a narcotics license in this country where it's totally illegal to be consuming and producing it. None outside of a club or a house. Yeah. We can get into that legal space later, but the medical industry is you can produce in this country with a narcotics license, a specialized narcotic license for a very specific location, the parcel of land that you're on, the facility. Any changes to the facility, you have to re-register your license, have to ask for permission, etc. It's an annual license that you have to annually reapprove it. And that license is only given to you if you already have a buyer in a legal medical market in Europe or outside of Europe. But
before your build out.
Before your build out, so everything this is the most crazy thing about this business, and the one thing that people need to understand before they think that they're going to get into this industry, specifically in Spain. Here, it's not you show up with a blueprint and you say, this is the project, this is the plan. And they say, great, get started because I'm going to approve you if you do it the way that you showed me. You would do a house or no, it's completely opposite. You have to build everything. You have to have the product sold, all under risk, and then they will come and inspect your facility to give you a yes or no answer. So we're talking about, in our case, millions of investment, and many other people, many millions to get to that point. and convincing an investor to get behind a project at full 100% risk
Yeah.
is one of the most difficult. Imagine doing it with
Well,
lower risk is
where are
even
we now?
difficult.
We're 2025. You're 2019. You're
Exactly.
like basically 6 years into this, nearing the finish line, but not totally done
Nearing
yet,
the
right?
finish line, and people have come and people have gone, and there are new licenses and people who are getting licensed, and so it's been a process. But yes, we're at the very end of the road, which is really the beginning of it all.
The actual
because
journey.
the actual journey is now doing the batch testing in Spain, getting great analysis back, having clean product, making sure that you pass all of the microbiological laboratory tests, and then you have a homogeneous product. You not only have the restriction of building everything beforehand, but you have to have an exact production, a purely homogeneous three productions that come out exactly the same.
I was going to ask you about the differences, I guess, in terms of growing quote unquote pharmaceutical or EU GMP to your facility compared to some of the other cultivation. You've touched on some of that, but are there other aspects to the grow, I mean, beyond the scale, which I assume is a much larger facility than you would have for?
Yes, I mean, you mean
the
differentiation between a typical greenhouse production for GACP flower,
even or those that don't worry too much about GACP, all the way to.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a market that I don't even see. I don't understand it because it's something totally outside of our industry. What we have here are people who are going for a very specific type of license, which has very high restriction. And yes, there are facilities here. Almost all that are licensed currently are greenhouses. There are no indoor production facilities, and we decided to go that direction to be one of the first fully indoor hydroponic production, semi-hydroponic production facility in Spain. And it's a decision that I think is critical. I really do think that this is going to be the future of staying alive in the medical cannabis market, is securing all the inputs that you put, securing that the product is going to be clean and exactly the same constantly. Because at the end of the day, you're making a medication. You're not selling to a recreational market. I think that's the most important, is understanding the variables and controlling as many as you can. And that means having an indoor facility.
That's right. Okay, thank you. That's it's super interesting. I think it is amazing to see the development. I know in Canada in the early years, even when they'd start, they'd start with one facility and then they'd build a facility within the facility, sort of always fine tuning, and in the end, they all sort of went towards a indoor model.
Yeah, I mean, really, if you we have a market that's been going on much longer than we have existed doing it in Spain. So if you look around and you see the history, you notice where the market has gone in these other countries that have been around much longer with legal frameworks. Canada, United States, Uruguay. You understand how those markets came up to be where they are today, and what the faults that they had in those phases of growing pains, and understand if you're going to make a decision here, take history as a precursor for where you should be going. And that's what we decided. We decided to go to a typical Canadian indoor American style production facility, and take that to the GMP side. Because if we're making medicine, I mean, we're an agricultural country. Here in Spain, agro is #1 production of GDP. And we have a lot of production facilities for tomatoes, cucumbers, lettuce, and we have a really large agrarian community of workers in the country. So there's a lot of knowledge in that base. And going from, most of these companies have really long-lasting foundations with lots of land and growing greenhouses. And so they've been adapting greenhouses into the medical cannabis production style. At that time, it makes sense because it's less investment. You have the expectation that you already have an idea of how growing it's done. It's a plant, but you have no idea the secondary part, which is the medicinal standards of what you're producing. And if you go that route, I think it's a really difficult way to continue doing it and sustain a business model that doesn't have that kind of risk. I want to be sure that my product is going to be exact every time.
I guess what's the next stage from that? I mean, you're already, it's interesting to have tracked it probably for the last 6 years. As this market has changed so dramatically in that time, have you made changes or shifted over those years? Or once you're sort of, because you're going for certification and it's so heavily regulated, sort of once you're in a particular path, you just need to hold that pathway and hope that the rest of the industry sort of
totally
follows along, kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, 6 years is a long time to be thinking about something. I haven't stopped thinking about it. It's the only thing I think about. So we've gone through a lot of phases. We've experienced it all. We started looking at facilities that were producing mushrooms indoor to retrofit them for production of cannabis. We went through a process of valuing that methodology of trying to save money and going into an existing facility. And we realized that after many years of focusing on this project and this problem, the question always came down to, it costs more money. It costs more money to do the things correctly. And so the only deterring factor to that is finding those investors and getting them to believe in this project. And it takes a special type of person. So yes, we've gone through, we were going to do a greenhouse, and we're going to do indoor in a facility that already exists with refrigerators. And then we decided, no, let's find a diaphanous warehouse where we can do indoor growing. And then we decided on top of that, we'll make it a greenhouse inside of a warehouse, inside of a warehouse. So I have a panel sandwich warehouse and then a panel sandwich structure inside of it that is the rest of the facility. So it's as much protection as you can to the product at the end of the day. And we hope that the standards of this facility will be what will set the marker for the rest of the facilities that start coming into this industry. Because at the end of the day, we have to worry about the quality of product that gets to the patient.
Absolutely. And how do you begin already as you're coming to the end to build those partnerships? I mean, I've seen you in other places in the world at these events. Like, how do you begin to build those partnerships in the different medical markets?
Truly, it's tracking. Yes, I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't have anything to offer to the market, you are kind of just sitting in the room waiting for that moment, no? And a lot of people at these events, they're already producing, they already have a product on the market, and they have patients and clients who are moving that product into different legal medical markets, Germany, UK, Australia. I think what's important for us is, since that moment, we've always been present. We've always been there. They know that we've been fighting the long fight. Yeah. Everybody understands that the Spanish market is one of the hardest markets to get a license in. And just existing every year is something special.
That seems to be true about cannabis across the board.
Right. But at the end of the day, like I'm telling you now, we told a story that we held to. We're going to make a boutique, high quality flower for the patient that's going to be pure. It's going to be enough in quality and in quantity, and it's going to be based on their necessities and their wants, and trying to do it in a way that's respected by the medical agency here as a pharmaceutical production. We're not just growing a plant, we're growing a medicine.
Absolutely. Do you see yourself, I'm just curious, in terms of the branding and as it goes out, do you see yourself as Taima going into the markets under your own name, or you're really going to be supplying
technically speaking, companies? as the structure of the law stands now, we don't produce with our own brand. We only produce a white label product, then sell it to a client, and that client will then label it in the way that they label it for depending. Theoretically, that's the way that the Spanish government doesn't involve itself so much with the actual final patient. But yes, we'd hope to do ideology. We would like to have partnerships in the sense with the pharmacies that we work with in these kind of ways, to have a brand that's trusted so that the final patient will know what they're receiving.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, even another brand wholesaling flower, like everyone knows, there is relative transparency in that process. So yes. Anyway, it knows where. The patient knows where it's coming from, even if it's coming through. Yeah.
Just I won't be on the biggest name on the label. Yeah, somebody else will be there, and I'll made by Spain, which is something I'd be very proud of.
Yeah, that'll be a nice addition to the market. If I guess in terms of, since you've been at this for a long time, and we were talking about how young your company is, like everybody I think is under 40. You mentioned, like for new folks coming into the space at this point, do you have words of wisdom or direction or stumbling blocks you faced as you were getting off the ground?
I think it's really interesting that there's so few people in the market. So it's kind of every time you go to these events and you see somebody, it's a small community, it's a family. We all know each other, and it's something that you don't notice. I've been in a lot of different industries, and this is when you're in such a small group in a growing industry that really hasn't developed completely in a market, everyone's super open about it. No, everyone's trying to help each other out, because another person in the market is only going to help us.
Competition's good.
Exactly. When there's so few, competition is good. But also it develops a true market. Once we have the standard, we have a lot of generating wealth in countries by this kind of production, then it's taken seriously. Now it's all of a sudden not just about the ideology of what the product is. It's about an industry, and it'll be super powerful. So we all know that. And I have to say that everybody in Spain welcomes you with open arms. There's no secrets to hold from one another, and we always are trying to help each other in all the ways that we can, always recommending services between each other. So that was really wonderful, and I think the value that you're going to get if you decide to come to the Spanish market is that you're going to have a lot of knowledgeable people that are with doors wide open, that you can come to, talk to, understand what you're getting yourself into, and then know.
With 4 licenses, it's a small. To your point, it's a
yes,
really,
and it's every license that's been received, the next one has to be better. I mean, the idea is that it's from such a fresh market. The only way the medical agency makes sure that the system gets stronger and healthier and more pure is that having a higher expectation to the next guy. So if the first guy did it this way, well, how are you going to do it better? And then that constantly grows on each other. So now if more people come into the market, the only thing you're going to see is that we're going to go in the right direction for clean, well-built, quality facilities for medical cannabis production.
Nice.
So yeah, don't be. I think the time is going to get shorter. I really truly believe.
It's not going to take 6 years.
No, I don't think so.
Out?
I promise. I think you could do it in less. But don't expect it to be in 6 months or 8 months. It'll be in 2 to 3 years.
Full of stumbling
2 or 3
blocks
years.
and the rest. I guess I'd just be remiss because I know you're watching closely, especially since all your products going outside. What are you seeing in the medical market in Europe in general? I mean, I think we've seen. I mean, Spain recently passes a law. Things are moving here.
Yes.
Ukraine's coming online in a stronger way. What else are you seeing out there?
I mean, I can speak for the Spanish law. It's something that I've been really close to since the very beginning. Obviously, it's been an interest of all of the producers here in Spain. The Spanish law, if you haven't realized, it came out about 2 weeks ago on a Tuesday. They've been working on it for much longer than that, if you can imagine. And the law is super restrictive, although it's any step forward is welcome always. And it's the beginning of the future.
First crack
exactly.
It's
the very beginning. Yeah. Although it's one of the most stringent beginnings of any country, it's something that we think we can work on. And there are already, there's communities and communication happening right now on how this could be bettered. And hopefully we can move with the best interest of the patient to get the flower to those who need it. But right now it's very specific. You can only sell the product through a hospital pharmacy. It can't be any private pharmacies within the city, and it has to be a
hospital pharmacy is not a private pharmacy.
It's in the hospital,
inside the hospital itself.
So your prescription has to come from a licensed doctor, public, not private, and it's for a handful of patients that can exist. So we're talking about multiple sclerosis, specific types of epileptic seizures. People who are going through chemotherapy and have nausea. So the idea is maybe 5 or 6 different kinds of sicknesses that are able to get the medical cannabis prescription. But at the end of the day, there's another fine piece of information at the end, a note, which says that it has to be the small text, that it has to be after trying all available drugs in the market. I mean, all other options, viable options. That we don't think is really thinking about the patient. I mean, as many of us come from the medical world of cannabis, how could that be the last option? I mean, it should be the first.
No, also Israel's similar, and in the UK, there's at least you have only 2 medications, and it could even be physiotherapy or occupational therapy. Some kind of treatment is needed, but not the last line of. That's
last line.
Is the flower need to be locally produced, or do you expect because of the strictures that today it'll probably be imported as your?
Yes, I mean we have enough production in Spain to cover the existing market.
They'll take from
the very few, and they'll most likely go with a licensed producer in Spain to fulfill the market. It doesn't make sense to go outside because the market's so small. They haven't restricted it. They haven't said where it's going to come from. I think it's going to be open until it's structured and standardized. I think we're playing it by ear to see how it moves. But I know that there are some companies already discussing the first product to come out to the market here. I just want to clarify that it's not flour.
It's not flour. You mentioned before
we can't use it's not flour is not considered a medical product in Spain, and it's only extract. And it will most likely go through an inhaling form or other type of medical.
So your export is also considered API for your export? Your flower's API?
My flower's API, exactly. So you can either do GMP1, this is a bit more technical, but you can do GMP1 or GMP2 production in Spain and export it out. We also have a manufacturing facility here in Spain that can
take it
extract.
So you're going to go straight out EGP. Amazing.
Yes, the market is ready. I mean, there are people who've been here waiting for it. Problem is, it's going to be a very slow start.
Yeah.
Eventually, it'll become something very, very nice. And to be one of the first few companies, I think that was the goal from the very beginning.
Amazing.
Just try to outrun the clock.
Yeah. Hold on. I mean, holding on 6 years is
Yeah.
holding on. Super excited to see you guys finish the process and
Yes.
get your product out into the market.
Super excited, yeah.
We will be watching very closely. So
Yeah.
thank you very much for your time.
Josh.
I appreciate it, Mo. Thank you
Pleasure.
very much. Take any questions from
Yeah.
anybody? If you're open for that. For a licensed producer in Spanish.
Quantities. How much are you going to grow?
And
The 3-year forecast.
okay, so I can't speak about my specific production, but I can speak for the market as a whole. Spain a few years ago was producing about 2 tons, while Portugal was producing around 18. Now, in just a couple of years, we're now at 6.5 tons, 7 tons of production, and we have of those 4 companies producing all of that production that's coming out. So we are, I think, now the 2nd largest producer in Europe. So that's actually pretty exciting, and we know that it's going to grow. We hope to be in the tons at some point, but right now we're a very small project. We want to do things correctly, so we started very small, and we want to prove to market that we can do what we're doing before we get to that kind of production.
Questions, anyone?
Anybody else?
I can ask a question. What's the major challenge, cultivation-wise, when it comes to put product in the pharmaceutical market?
Great question.
You mean what is the thing that people are looking for to get it into a pharmacy? The quality of the product, the THC level,
Or the challenge to getting it into the.
I think the biggest challenge is the very beginning, finding talent in Spain, getting people who have had experience with this kind of production, because you need to have the thing very much under control, and it can't be your first grow, and you can't go to the black market to find people who want to come into this industry. So there are a few countries that have been around. Our master grower is from Uruguay. It's one of the oldest licensed companies in the world because they were the first company to legalize. Having 10 years of experience is critical, and that's how you get your product into market, is making sure that the very beginning of the production is controlled at a high level.
Nice.
Thank you.
And having friends in high places. Anybody else? No, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
it.
Pleasure.